selling stuff. So they sold theirs 2 days ago, and you know, like, but yeah, that just goes to show that this, like, I was just talking to a real estate agent that I know in the street, and Sovereign Island, they just sold $12 million worth of properties over the weekend on Sovereign Island, one for 6.5, the other one for 6. So I mean, geez, it's still happening. But yeah, you've just got to be able to yeah, find that right thing and get the timing right. But yeah, 2 days ago.
Hello everybody. Right, Angela is ready to rock and roll. I'll let her come on. She's going to do some spiel or whatever. I'm recording it anyway for the rest of the group. Whether or not it's relevant to everybody, I don't know. But
is that the same lady? No.
Yeah, it's the same lady, but the one that when it cut off, because it cut off last time, didn't it? When we were trying to,
oh yeah, right.
We were trying to finish the conversation off, and then it just, because there's a limit to how many people can go on it.
Yeah, 40 minutes.
So I'll let her go on. She'll probably do 15 minutes of talking about what she's going to do and whatever she does, and then yeah, we'll go from there. Right.
Well, Guy, hi Guy.
Yeah.
Last time I was like speaking to you, but somehow you left the meeting because of some urgent meeting.
Yeah, because
I was
my
main thing. What I was about to tell you that is it possible that something we can get some information bulletin kind of things related to the property market so that we can circulate to our clients, our whatever pipelines are there, so that it can also enrich our knowledge to talk contemporary and to also educate them and to convince them, like, because they are now rigid with the preconceived notion, a very flat notion like the market should be corrected. But what exactly dynamics is behind the market, they are not understanding, and we need some kind of tools or knowledge bulletins so that we can provide them and they can authenticate that. If you can provide it as a group, will be
what's
better.
What's behind the market? What do you mean, like what the market having a
like
down?
What is going exactly? What is how the property market is going to turn? What is going to be there? What is the matrix like? What is happening as a economy in the market, property market?
Right.
So that we can convey exactly to our clients, our customers.
It's a difficult question to answer because nobody really truly knows across the board what's happening.
Yep.
Like a lot of stuff's been taken off the market, I think, recently and stuff like that, and the market has slowed down. But nobody can 100% say definitely with any real knowledge what's going to happen because it's something that's not happened before, if you know what I mean. So it's a difficult thing to communicate, and everybody's got slightly different experiences in different locations and stuff like that. Like Lee's on now there looking really serious. Like
they are very
like
rigid.
Lee might still be doing business, or it might have dropped off totally for him. I don't know. But yeah, it depends. Oh, God.
It's really very difficult to convince them because they have been convinced from their bankers, their brokers, that there should be some corrections, and that's why. So we can't say anything. We can't force them after some points of time.
Yeah. It's a difficult one, to be honest with you. It's a difficult one to sort of say for definite what the outcome is. It's one of those things where you have to do a bit of research and look at the different markets and look at the location where you're in and are you working out of, and just see what was. I mean, it's one of those things. You go on REA and you can see what's on there at the moment and what's been taken off and things like that. So there is a way to sort of track it. And you can also track it through RP data and things like that when you're doing an appraisal for somebody, or you can just run the numbers anyway. You just pick an address at random near to where you want, it'll run the numbers and you'll see them go drop right down, and then you can say, okay, on average, everything's dropped off by a fair bit. At least I can just see your ceiling, sweetheart. Oh, there you are. Oh, you had your hair cut. Your hair looks nice.
I get it cut, once in a while.
Beautiful.
Thanks. No, because I've got 2 screens and I need to put the laptop down. So you're going to have to look at my
ceiling.
My ceiling. Sorry, guys.
That's all right. That's all right. I prefer your face, but that's okay.
I forgot I'm half an hour behind. That's why I was late. I'm so sorry. I was like waiting till 1, but it would have been 10 minutes.
No, you're okay. Not everybody can come on. There's a few people. I was trying to get Phil on as well, but whether or not he's a bit of an older guy, and whether or not technology isn't his forte with something like this, I don't know. He was like, I'll try and dial in. I'm like, oh, it's not really how it works, mate, but okay. Do you know what I mean? So hopefully. Anyway, Angela is here. Angela, do you want to say hello and introduce yourself?
Hello everyone. I just wonder whether or not this is an effective use of everyone's time. I know Lee and I have had a brief chat about what I do, and he's got himself a business coach. So I wonder whether it's appropriate to do a separate session where everyone can attend, and that way I'm maximising your group time, my time, your time. Because otherwise, if there's only 3 people, I don't see the value necessarily of going through when we're looking at a minimum of 10 people and you're willing to invest in their development and growth. So I think,
yeah. Well, it's up to you, Angela, if you want to like give people a bit of background on what you do and that kind of thing, and then I can arrange. You can do one-to-ones with people if you prefer.
So unless there's buy-in now, I guess that's a separate conversation for you and me, Guy, about what that looks like. I know that you're happy to support and invest in your people and providing them with some coaching.
Yeah.
So, so why don't we take that perhaps offline for you and I, and then we can think about what that looks like. I'm happy to. I don't want to waste Lee's time, of course.
Okay.
Collective time. I can talk with Elise, Rahul, and David. It might just be another of the same for you, Lee, given that I went through it with the guys that were on after the end of your last Zoom meeting.
No, I'm sure Lee can soldier through, can't you, mate? You'll be all right.
Yeah, well, good. Always open to learning new things, though.
All right, awesome. Okay. Well, I will share my screen. Okay.
What I'll do while you're doing that is I'll just go and give Phil a quick call and see if he can get on, and a couple of other people. But you go ahead, kick off, and I'll see if I can get a few more people.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm back in a second.
Cool. Can you guys see that? Can you see that, Rahul?
Yeah, looks great.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. I might just give a couple of minutes for Guy and for the others. Welcome. Nice to meet you. Sorry it's a bit abrupt. I don't want to waste any of your time, given the current circumstances and also what you guys are up to. I know he's also got a 40-minute Zoom, so he might have to reconnect shortly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I might just share a bit about me, about what the performance impact coaching, sort of the premise behind it. So Guy and I have been talking about ways that he can support you guys and what you guys are up to in the current era with Corona going on, as well as just the general sentiments in the real estate industry. I've seen a lot in, I guess, my consulting around this current period and what's going on, and I guess a lot of the impacts that Corona is having on people, businesses, industries, the economy in general, things that I'm sure are dealing with on a day-to-day. And it sounds like you are a bit, Rahul, with some of your customers and sort of the kind of questions and concerns that they're raising through to you. So this is about you. So the performance impact coaching is about you, what you're out to accomplish, and what perhaps stands in the way between you and the goals that you're out to impact. So, a bit about me. I'm Australian-born Chinese, from from 14 to 19, I was the National Australian Grand Champion for Australia in Kung Fu. And I've been working in the HR and in the performance space for the last 12 years, over the last 12 years. And in that space, I've worked with numerous different corporations. My last role was a head of performance and culture for an organization, really managing and looking at, the elevation of the performance of that company. And, a real passion of mine is being able to make a difference with people and what people are up to and what they're out to accomplish. So for me, business coaching, I'm the creator of a peak performance accelerator program, and as part of that is elevating individual performance to where they'd like to go. I'm a trained negotiator as well, and my passion at the moment is definitely the impact coaching. So what is coaching? I know Lee himself has a coach. I'm not sure if you guys have come across it or know much of it or have a coach yourselves. You, Rahul?
Well, not to say much, but coaching, just like kind of guiding to put on the right track to achieve what is desired, expected from you.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so you have a bit of an understanding of how it works. Yeah, great. What about you, David?
I did do some coaching when I had a business. I don't know, about 4 or 5 years ago. I had a coach, and quite a few $1,000s it cost, but and that was just for myself and also my people, my salespeople, and so I've been there, done that. So
sure.
it was about $5,000 in the end or something. So it was quite an expensive exercise. So, but as I said, it was helpful back then. So,
okay. Yeah.
so I've had to go with it.
Perhaps you didn't quite get the value that you were out to necessarily.
Not really. And as I said, it was trying to be self-motivated is probably the best thing. But with real estate, you do have to have that self-motivation. But I know when I had the business, it was through that GFC sort of thing. So it really wasn't. I don't think any coaching could fix that. That was an economy that, and I had to, give the business away because, it's all about the GFC. Businesses' phone doesn't ring. Coaches can't fix that. But I look at anything that's good value for money, and spending $5 or $6,000 probably isn't. I don't think it would work for real estate. I think you've just got to be self-motivated yourself to try and get things going. But if everyone to their own. Yeah,
and I can see where you're coming from. Definitely, it requires you to show up for sure, 100%. And an effective coach identifies the blind spots between you and reaching the goals. So, and I guess that's where I'm different from not just being a coach, it's advisory as well, the strategic as well. So are you pivoting your business? What kind of actions are you doing? Because obviously repeating the same ones over and over and again is insanity, right? And inside of this current climate, it's looking at what is necessary and needed to take you from where you are to where it's possible. And there's those that are thriving in their current environment when you would expect that perhaps it's doom and gloom. So and that's where, but I think it's an interesting perspective, David, and you shine some light to, I guess, where coaching isn't necessarily effective for sure.
Yeah. Depending on the cost, as I said, it's like anything. With this, it is about what income you can bring in and what's the best way to make that happen. And I agree with Guy. The cold calling, I've done a few of those today. I've got 186 people, but they're off a database. And the thing is, it's all about that's self-motivation. You've got to make it happen. And I think that once you've made a few calls, and they've all been pretty good calls, because we're not really trying to sort of structure a business or keep motivated, you've got to just basically convert people. And as I said, I missed out by 2 days. Someone sold their house. So, I mean, you can see that it's just a numbers game. I think that if you're motivated enough, you will succeed. But it is an awkward time at the moment because face-to-face is always better. Because the thing is, if you can get to meet people, build a rapport with them, then, you know, you're going to be successful. And this isn't, well, it's never happened in history, is it, what we're going through? And you really need to be able to get out there and see the people, I believe.
My time frame with Angela was for when really everybody's done at least one sale.
Yes.
So, you know, when everybody's done that one sale and they've got some spare cash, and then to ramp it up, because you have the excitement of the fact that you have done a sale and you've made that commission, you've got money in the bank now, and you're off to a good start for the new year. And then you've got that coaching side on top to really push you then to get to the next level kind of thing, which is the reason why I started speaking to Angela. Was like, well, I think that people need a bit more motivation and all the rest of it. But like I say, you do have to be self-motivated to a certain point.
I think you're doing a really good job anyway, Guy, to motivate people. So
that's very kind of you to say so.
I don't think you could do any more than you do. Like,
yeah, I agree, David.
I think it's
I agree
showing
with
up
you
by way of
completely.
performance. So
I'm just trying to cover every base, because at the end of the day, like, you don't want to let the side down when you say, well, he could have offered that, but he didn't. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody's approached me through LinkedIn or whatever, for whatever different reason it is, like I've had a finance guy come through the other day and all that kind of thing, and he wants to do business with us, and it's just things like that where you think, well, I won't let that slide, because I don't want to not offer something back to the team if I can offer something. It's going to be the difference between, you know, you're doing 10 sales in a year or you're doing 15 or 20 for the sake of having that person there to guide you and to help you a bit more than I can. Then that was the reason why I suggested that maybe Angela puts it out there, that what it is that she does, and go from there. And
so with Angela, do you have any sort of background in real estate, or not really? Is more is corporate, is it?
So I have I've got a bit of experience. I've got a company in the UK with real estate, and it's looking at for buyers agents. So I've got some experience in the real estate industry. It's not a primary focus for me at the moment. I work across numerous industries, including the real estate. However, at the fundamental part, it's what is standing in the way between, and you can see what you can see. So David, you can see motivation is what is there for you, and that's just your frame of, you know, the lens that you're coming from. There's a whole world of what you don't know that you don't know about, what perhaps stops you, or like you said, getting on a couple of calls was really great and you feel like you've got trajectory. But when you're stopped, why is it that you stop? Or why is it that you're not executing that deal? Or why is the results not showing up? And that's where the performance impact coaching really gets to where you are, where you'd like to be, and what are the barriers in between. And to
can I jump in on that? That's perfect, Angela. It was certainly something that was there for us, and what you're saying is really resonating again, sort of from a couple of years ago, that we were just in a position of stuckness, and I say stuckness, I don't even know whether that's a real word. It is now. Inertia. However, what we did with our coach, and I'm sure that's the sort of thing that you're looking at, and this is why I just thought I'd jump on for you, because I think what's important is people like you ask the questions and ask the whys and the wherefores that sometimes send you in a different direction. And you know, those sorts of things are the questions that are being asked at the moment by people like yourselves, or, you know, where are the other opportunities? You know, David, I hear you talk about all the different calls that you can make and go out there. Well, we're talking to investor groups, because investor groups, people who actually want to invest at the moment, because the market's just about to bottom, and that's when investors start to get busy. So that's where the opportunity is, because they can then build. So instead of us looking at what we know as the norm, I would suggest we're trying to think a little bit laterally and differently. How can we go in a different way? And that's individual for you. And that's where people like Angela come in, and they'll start to challenge your paradigm and really start to, and the perceptions that are out there, where this is the sort of thing that these people do. And you mentioned before about the cost. The value might not be an immediate dollar value. What you get is a year-on-year incremental compound growth from the knowledge that you obtain and the pathway that you obtain, in my mind. So I just wanted to dial in there and jump in.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. Yeah. And I think you really touch on an important point around that mindset, around your own self. And it's not even as if it's intentional. Too often than not, we're in business with the primary intention to make a difference and obviously hit the goals and do everything that we can inside of what we do, service our customers, sell real estate, or, the dream for someone. And more often than not, we're taking actions that we're not necessarily, but mightn't yield the results. And we think it's too difficult, too hard, or I'm not, and inside of that kind of paradigm, we're left in a world of what else can I do? And that's where the coach, like any professional athlete or in any sport, is there to see your moves from the sidelines. And like Lee said, ask those questions that perhaps you haven't even considered or even thought about. Does that make a bit more sense, David?
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying, but I just think that to do the coaching, it really, to have a background in the real estate with Guy, I think that his information is very valuable, because he's got so much experience in the real estate, and that's what we need, is to be able to work out how to succeed. If you're self-motivated, but yeah, I can see what Lee just said then about going into a different arena, which is trying to find the investment. That's a fair point, because the thing is, we've got to find what the hot spot is, what's going to succeed, because as I said, you've got to be able to make your time worthwhile. You don't want to be just spending money, burning yourself out. And that's what I'm saying, is that the most important thing is having the knowledge of the real estate, which Guy has, and he's mentioned about, the finance is important, qualifying the people. Yeah. And these are all the things that really are very important, and that's why he's doing a really good job.
It depends on what experience. Like what Lee's talking about is he's talking about going to investor groups directly. So what he's doing is he's changing up the game now, because it's making it more of a business to business type of sale, as opposed to a business to consumer. And I've done business to business. So you could do, for example, you could get to an investor group and you could say, well, or even a family, you could approach them and say, well, do you want to open up a trust account and have you, your son, your daughter, whoever involved as well, and get them to buy a brand new house as a group, as an investment. So there's all sorts of different ways around it. It's just thinking outside the box a little bit compared to your traditional way of doing real estate. Yeah. You knock on doors, you do appraisals or whatever.
That's right.
It just comes down to how you think.
Well, that was the feedback when I did that cold call. The people I've actually done a CMA for, I think I told you about them when I was in the Choice Homes at Jacobs Well. So I did the CMA, followed them up, and they said, oh, we're finding that we're too old. So like the banks with the pay dockets and all that sort of stuff, that's an objection. They can't get the money. So then, of course, I brought up the Ashley thing, that it's not necessarily your age, what you earn. And the thing is, they're the sort of objections that we need to find, and then you use that as a solution. And to me, that was interesting. And that's the only way you find out, is to actually get in touch with the people. And if their problem is finance, then we have to overcome it. And that was a really good, learning curve, is what people can't, what they're having trouble with.
I think the other thing is, Angela, as well, if you've got a proven track record, if you've worked with a real estate agent before and you've taken that real estate agent from, a subpar agent who was just selling a couple of properties a year to, you know, they're selling multiple properties a year and they're a high earner and they're the top 10% of real estate agents in their suburb or state or whatever. If you've done that before, and you've got that proven track record, or if you've done something similar to that, I think that might be something where, you know, the guys would probably be inclined to think, well, you know, I can see the value in this because it's been done before with somebody else. So I don't know if you've ever done that before with another client who's in that.
Yeah, not in the real estate industry. However, yes, with other clients. Yeah, definitely. So I can definitely speak to that. Yeah, through this. Yeah, for
So
sure.
if you've got an example of that, I think that would be, because it's a bit like saying, have you got a testimonial? Have you got a, you know, this, I took Bob Smith and took him from, you know, low level sales guy to right up here because I did this with him. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing, because there's potential for them to all be earn a considerable salary. At the end of the day, they could be on $500,000 to $1 million a year if they work hard. If they sell house and land packages, their average commission is at least $21,000. So they're going to sell, you know, 5 properties and they're on $100,000 a year. So
Yeah.
there's potential there for them to earn a lot of money. But it's just one of those things, whereas if you've taken sort of a low level person and have you bumped them up to that level, because if you can prove that you've done that, then these people are going to say, oh, well, you know what, it isn't cheap, but it's worth it. And I'll have a crack at it. And I think that's where they're coming from. I think it's one of those things where they've got to see the value in what you've done. And if you haven't been a real estate agent before, then it might be, there's a first time for everything, isn't there? If you can get one of these guys up to that kind of level, happy days. You know what I mean? I'll be happy, they'll be happy, you'll be happy.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that's the sort of thing, I mean, like, you know, if somebody works in insurance or whatever, there's only so much money they could earn, not a lot of the time. With real estate, depending on what you're selling, you can, you know, the sky's the limit, really. It comes down to performance and what have you, because the commission is so high. That's why I chose it as an industry to work in, because I worked in sales for such a long time and I've sold everything. You know, I've sold mobile phones, I've sold insurance, I've sold, you name it, I've sold it. And I knew that real estate was probably one of the best things to sell if you're going to be a salesman, because you're going to earn the most money. You know, why go out and sell cars or pegs or solar panels when I can sell a house? The only thing above what I'm selling is commercial space, but that's a much harder, longer path to make any money. You know, you could have a commercial property sat there for 2 years, easy, and it doesn't go anywhere. You earn when you do sell it, but you've got to sit around for 2 years and you know, wait for somebody to come along and buy that or lease it or whatever. So, you know, that would be where I would be coming from. If I was trying to do your job, sell my service to them, I would give them this is a proven method, and that this is who I've, you know, this is an example of one of my clients, and this is what I did with him or her.
Yeah, definitely.
That would be what I would do.
All right. So these are the kinds of, and I guess we've touched a bit on what also Lee spoke to about the whole moving from, or, you know, where you find yourself unproductive, or you've got a big to-do list, or you're stopped in your own business and you know that there's more that you can be doing, or it's, you know, that positive outlook, oh, it's too hard right now, it'll all work out, some sort of optimistic hope, or knowing what to do and then struggling to do it. So I know we've spoken a bit about some of those things, and I know you talk about being self-motivated, David, and, you know, and do you find yourself always motivated, I guess is a question, or do you see that there's any gaps between you and hitting that next level? Or you feel like you're flying colors and you just need to take the actions and you're going to nail the sales?
Well, no, definitely. With that said, I've only had my license for a few months, so I basically can see that you have to be, you've got to have that within you. You've got to be motivated. The credibility is important. The government have tried to do a lot of things where you can't get a job unless you've got 12 months experience. You've got to have this amount of money you've got to earn. So there's been a few obstacles, which is it's just that I can see that as a big problem with the Queensland government, what they've done to stop people getting into the industry. So the only way to really do it is to get the 12 months experience with the full license, and you've got to be passionate about it.
Yeah, but you've got the license, right?
Yes, yeah. Well, I got the full license. I paid the $1,500. I thought, oh, but to me, it's coming in handy because it means that I can get into domain. I've got an ABN. You know, like I can see the advantages in it. And then once you've had that for 12 months, then you know you can. You know, it is important, but they really made a mess of the industry. I believe the government by getting involved in it and trying to, nanny state type of thing. I don't really agree with that, but I've got the full license now. So I think that, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I think Guy made a good point. See, what we look upon someone with credibility, testimonials, like when I had my business, I'd have hundreds of all these testimonials. And what it is then we can say, oh, you understand the industry. And I think Guy's got a really good understanding of it because he's done a lot of different ones. So we tend to think that what he says, we act on. Yeah.
And to be clear, this isn't business improvement coaching.
Righto. Yep.
But this
So
isn't
just motivate. Say you're jumping out of bed in the morning and going hard. Is that type of personal improvement? Is it?
So yeah, it's revealing those blind spots. So really what's in the way between you and the goals that you're out to accomplish, and getting you in action with accountability, performance, elevation, how you show up as a business owner. So it's not business improvement. Guy can do business improvement with you for sure.
Righto.
Yeah, I think I beat you with it until you do as you're told.
You know, Guy's the one that is experienced. You've obviously jumped on board knowing Guy's experience and what he can offer inside of your business model. That's not what I'm doing. Yeah.
I'm just giving you a heads up, Angela. We've got 1 minute, 20 seconds, and then this thing's going to cut out on us. I need to upgrade.
Okay. Yeah, so this is really about the getting in action, accountability, performance, elevation. So what it looks like is structured coaching, and it is working on mindset. It is working on how you show up in your business and your blockages and your roadblocks, and coupled with my experience in the business arena for over 12 years and working senior roles and having worked with individuals to really take their performance, CEOs and other type people. That's where Guy and I saw the possibility of working with you guys, where some of you are quite new or perhaps aren't fully across the pathway that perhaps is best to get your end goal. And that's where I can come in to make the difference. And
so
I'm not in the real estate industry, I don't have bias, and I'm by no means pitching that I have made all of these multi-million-dollar sales or anything like that. I'm not from the real estate industry. So that's where my outside experience brings that analytical eye from a different perspective.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So Angela, what is the cost of, I've got it in front of me now, 6 weekly, 45